What's up everyone, we are back and today I'm going to do just a kind of tips video and some tricks to do things like reduce lag and things like that. I'm going to rattle these off as quickly as possible, try and make this video a little bit shorter. A lot of people don't want to wait around, so let's just get into it. Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about, and one that helped me a ton with lag, especially in a league that has heavy juicing, and if you're doing delirium and stuff like this helped me a lot and it probably will help you too. You're going to go into your files. You're going to go to Documents, My Games, Path of Exile, and you're going to go down to the Production Config. When you click on this, you're going to want to open it in Notepad, and it'll come up looking like this. Now, this comes at the cost of sound effects and some of the music and things like that. But the more you turn off, the better it will run. The main ones that really helped me was Sound Effects Volume 2. I changed this to false. And Music Volume 2, I changed this to false also. It's going to get rid of certain sound effects, especially skill sound effects, but I don't need to hear my cyclone or my lightning strike constantly or it hitting people. I just don't care that much. I'd much rather have the game be playable when you're running things like delirium or any kind of juice-based content. You're going to save this, you're going to exit, and then that is it. Now, it is not enough just to go into your options and go down to your sound and just turn all these down. This does not work the same. You have to pretty much just disable them for it to work. While we're on the screen, another cool tip is you can go to the UI and mess with a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. The landscape transparency, the transparency of the overlay map, and things like that. One that helped me a lot is I noticed I was losing where my mouse cursor was. So I changed it to pink, because I kind of like pink, and medium size instead of small. You can even put this at large and make it gigantic. That's a little too distracting for me, so I just keep it at medium, but it helps you keep track of your mouse, especially when stuff's going crazy. See what else we got. Going down the list, control click to reset zones. Talked about this in my Wildwood strategy. It can be helpful for when you're farming certain areas, or like you're doing desecrated chambers, to practice your Wildwood. Once you go into an area, if you want to reset it to get, say, a new Wildwood, hold control, click on the area again, and just click this new button. That will put you in a new instance of that area. Stash tabs are important. They go on sale, and you pretty much need a premium one to get the advantage of being able to sell your stuff on POE Trade. But once a month in the specials, they will do a stash tab sale. So check that often if you need more stash tabs, and be patient if you need some certain stash tabs. As you can see, I have most of them, like the gem one and the essence one's really good. Really like the shards one. The map one has helped a ton. Most of them are really helpful, but there are ones that you probably don't exactly need, like the flask one. The oil one could be helpful if you like to run blight. The fossil one is nice also if you like to do delve and stuff like that, but wait for the sales. Next is that the attributes on an item will determine what colors it can roll easier. So this you could see is an Aegis Aurora shield that needs strength and intelligence because it has armor and energy shield, and you will notice it has a hard time rolling green, but an easy time rolling red because of the armor, and blue because of the energy shield. So you're going to get a lot of red and a lot of blue, and then every once in a while a green. So keep that in mind while you're rolling your colors or something like that. Now you can use your bench to make this easier. Remember, always go in, put your crafting bench, go down in your hideout, edit, go to decorations, type crafting in the filter, just decor to have it come up, and you can put your crafting bench, drag and drop into your hideout. But you can help deterministically color things by either using chromatic orbs to say have at least 2 green sockets, 1 green, 3, but that costs a lot of chromatics. Another thing you can do is just say, oh, I want 1 green socket for 4 chromatics, and then, well, that rolled 3 green, but say it didn't, you can go to 2 sockets and 3 sockets to get a 3rd color. And that's a good way to use your jeweler's orbs to get your extra socket. You can just keep rolling until this goes to a green one, and that can be much cheaper than just paying 125 chromatics to get it outright like that. While we're on the subject of the bench, make sure you are fixing small problems and just overall quality of life with bench crafts. For example, you can take a flask and you can make it so that it's used when the charges reach full, or used at the end of its effect, so you can turn it on, and then as soon as it wears off, it'll automatically use that flask again to keep them out constantly. Or you can do used when charges reach full. so that while you're killing stuff, while you're mapping, while you're doing whatever, when it gets to full, it'll automatically be used. If you're killing things quick enough, it'll be full most of the time. You can get flasks that have certain prefixes, like chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. If your build is dealing a lot of critical strikes, you can combine this when used when charges reach full to make sure it is on as often as possible. Nice thing about this is if you are using when it reaches full and you are fighting a boss, you obviously aren't killing the boss constantly. It's just one enemy, so something like this will give you the ability to gain flask charges on something like a boss that isn't dying, but you are still critting, it is still gaining charges. So things like this can be very useful to play around with that. Not to mention, you should always be capping your resist to 75%, so make sure you are going to your bench, and any rare with certain things, like for this you need an open suffix. Items have 3 things. They can have a max of 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes. If you hold Alt, you can see that this has 3 prefixes and 1 suffix, so it has room for a suffix. So say if I need a lightning resist or cold resist, I can throw that on there. Now keep in mind, like I said, it's 3 and 3. 3 prefixes and 2 suffixes, one of them being a master crafted one. So something like an exalt, you might hear exalt slam, that is to give it that last suffix modifier. So if I wanted to, I could take an exalt, slam it on, it's going to fill that last suffix, give me increased stun and block recovery. Now this is full, it's got 3 and 3, so if I wanted to add another thing, it'll say item has no more space for mods. There's a very rudimentary way of explaining how items work. Another thing you might want to remember is implicits are at the top and explicits are the ones at the bottom. So right here, the implicit is maximum life and everything else is an explicit. The way you can remember this is I before E, the old American I before E except after C thing. Implicit before explicit. So the implicits are the ones at the top. So when you hear people talking about that, or if you're searching for a stat on the trade website, this is how it works. The next tip is that the quality on an item affects how easily it can get to, say, 6 sockets or 6 links. So if you're trying to manually link your stuff and you aren't using the crafting bench to link it, you just want to slam on it, make sure you are upgrading it. So if I want to make this chevron 6 link by slamming it, I would grab my armorer's scrap and I would put it to the highest quality, which is 20 this way. There are ways to get 30% quality. There is an iHarm beast that does it, and I think there's another way that I can't think of right now that will do it, but I want to maximize the quality on this before I start slamming it. So I'd want to slam it with jewelers to try and get it to 6 sockets. Once it gets 6 sockets, I can start slamming it to 6 links. Now once this hits max sockets, it will tell me, you've hit max sockets on this item, and it'll stop rolling it, so you don't have to worry about rolling over it. And that goes the same for when you are linking it. You can just mash on it, because once it is 6 linked, it will stop clicking. Next is chisel your maps, and always chisel them while the map is white. If I clear this is already a 20 quality map. Way to go, Safe. Way to plan. Alright, that's 7 quality. Here we go. If you notice, if I chisel a blue map, it will give you, right now it's at 7%, it'll give you 2% and 9%. So you want to do is get it down to white, because when you chisel it as white, it gets 5%, and it only costs a maximum of 4 chisels to get it to that 20% quality. Quality is incredibly important, especially in this league, but in every league, to do your maps. So if you have to, use orbs of scouring, get them white, and then chisel them for the greatest effect and the most cost-efficient way to save your chisels. Chisel's a fun word to say. Chisel, 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 chisel. And the last tip I'm going to give is use Awaken POE Trade. The link is in all of the description of my videos. A million people use it. It's been trusted for a long time. It is a third-party program, but it is safe and it is amazing. It'll make it so when you put it in full screen, windowed mode, has to be in any kind of windowed mode to work. You can hit Control plus D on an item, and it's going to pop up this window so you can see what something is worth. Now you'll notice when you do this, I have an 18% one, but it has this set at 17. So sometimes you can change these numbers to get a more exact way of seeing what it is worth. So I change those numbers, hit search, you can see this is worth about 12 to 14 chaos for this Aegis. That's what I could put it at. It's an amazing way to price check your items. It works flawlessly, it always has, and there are certain things. Some other things, if you are trying to trade for something like a compass and it says, oh, it's worth 17 awakened sextants, you can hover over this online thing and you can change it to show chaos orbs or divine or both. If you don't want to see certain weird prices for things, you can change it that way. Alright, so that was a really quick tips and tricks video. Like, comment, and subscribe if this helped you or if you learned something new. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more of these, and also some other stuff you want me to cover. Preferably not in too depth, so I can keep these more kind of quick and concise and constantly moving. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.